Who's on top?
And welcome back to episode 51 of Who's on Top. I'm your host, Ori. This is February 23rd, 2021. We have a great episode planned for you with Phi Slamma Jeremy exclusive this week. No Jacob, as he is gone at the Dome. But with us, we have the three guys here. We have the Elevator King, Jeremy Giles.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
We will discuss why we call him the Elevator King later. Next, we have Corona King, Ellis Gordon.
What's up, guys?
And finally, we have the King of Brick City, Daniel Fox.
What's up, guys? Let's talk some sports.
Is that Jacob? What?
Somebody has to.
Somebody has to. Well, we have a great episode planned for you. But again, with all great things, we got to start off with the tip-off. Daniel, up to you.
Wow, way to steal my noise. But this is the tip-off. Oh, look at this. February 23rd, spring training is underway. But we can't talk about on the field. We have to talk about some off-the-field stuff. Seattle Mariners CEO Kevin Mather is resigned in this past week after some disparaging comments about his own players. There's a number of different things. All of them were bad. There's some talk about Jared Kelenic, the Mariners' top prospect. I think the number 3 prospect in baseball. For those of you that don't know, there is this rule in Major League Baseball that is about service time. And if you're up, if you get called up after around April 15th, you get 6 years. You get 7 years of eligibility before free agency. But if you get called up before then, you get 6 years. So it's been pretty, if you think about Chris Bryant, Vladimir Guerrero, teams for a while have held players down to get that extra year under contract before free agency. But it's sort of like, you don't really talk about that. It's just one of those things that happen. But in this comment, Kevin Mather openly admitted to keeping Jared Kelenic down to manipulate his service time. He also made comments complaining about a Japanese player.
Daniel, do you want to just explain what service time is?
Yeah, so service time just means how many years you're in the majors. So basically, if I get called up April 15th or April 20th, 2021, I do not count for the 2021 season. My first year of service time is in 2022, and each player gets 7 years of service time. He also made comments about a Japanese player needing an interpreter. He complained about another top prospect, Julio Rodriguez's English. He said the best starting pitcher was boring. So all this stuff leaked out. I think he said it at like country club meeting. I don't know, but it all got leaked out this week. Came under fire, and he resigned. I believe it was Monday. A lot of chaos for one of the worst run teams in baseball. But there's some good news in baseball. I'll kick it over to Ellis to talk about one of the best players in baseball getting a really long-term extension.
I want that statue, or not me, but Fernando Tatis wants that statue, and he is going to hopefully get it in San Diego because he signed a 14-year, $340 million contract at San Diego to stay with the Padres for 14 years.
Ellis, what's the technical term for that much money? I'd go with a crap ton of cash.
But either way, I mean, Tatis, one of the biggest not even a prospect anymore, just one of the biggest stars in baseball, got the swag. He got the play to back it up. So great deal, I think, for both, and big money. So Padres are in win now mode with Machado and Tatis.
On to you, Mr. Giles.
First, I want to just apologize for my fellow analysts. They're doing their best. Now let's have the interesting trade here. They brought in their expert, of course. So I'm covering the trade of one Carson Wentz to the Indianapolis Colts from the Philadelphia Eagles. So on a serious note, this trade is something that I think both was kind of expected to happen. Frank Wright, Carson Wentz's former coach's MVP year, is on the Colts. To me, the most noticeable thing about it that essentially they got Carson Wentz for so little. Like, this is a serious MVP candidate for 3 years ago, and they got him for a third rounder this year, the 85th overall pick, and a second rounder, a conditional first rounder. This is a very kind of
Jeremy, what's the technical term for that? I'd go with peanuts.
Yup, that's the technical term. I again apologize for my fellow analysts. Really, they're doing their best.
Oh, that's funny. I'm not an analyst though. I'm the host.
It shows. No, I am kidding, but on its serious note,
World star.
so the thing about Carson Wentz is for the Colts, it's a big win, right? They get a quarterback that's been an MVP with their past coach. I don't know if he's still capable of playing at that level, but he's still.
Wait, Jeremy, he wasn't an MVP though. He was an MVP candidate.
He was good.
Yeah, just make that distinction. I think
he was the front runner for the MVP.
No, he was he was the front runner.
If he,
but he wasn't. But he wasn't the MVP.
He wasn't MVP, but if he had stayed healthy,
because he got injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't
he
like
still led the league in touchdowns. I believe
he wasn't not the MVP because he was outplayed. He was not the MVP because he got injured, which is a big distinction.
Yeah, I agree.
So the big thing is just the fact that the Eagles have messed up this relationship so much that they've had him going from MVP candidate to having the trade is just an overall incredible loss for the organization.
I thought this trade was pretty 50-50 on both for both sides for this trade. I think Wentz, this is first off great for Wentz. He needs a change of scenery, and Indianapolis, as Jeremy covered with Frank Reich, will provide that. Now for the Eagles and for the Colts, they need that franchise QB, and there don't think anyone else on the market. No one else on the market with Wentz potential, other than maybe like a Trevor Lawrence. They weren't getting him, so this is the highest potential. And the Colts, they're pretty much built team except for a quarterback, so they need that quarterback to take them over the top. And Wentz has the ability to be that guy. Now it's good for the Eagles because that relationship was dead, and that's already an indictment on the Eagles, but pretending like that relationship was dead, and they needed to get rid of him, and so they got. Considering his contract and his play for the last 2 to 3 years and his injury problems, a third-round pick and a conditional first if he stays healthy is pretty good considering all the circumstances. So good job for both teams. Eagles still have Hurts, and so I think this is one of those fair trades that work out for everyone.
I think I've said this a number of different times on the podcast, but I don't think there's an athlete in sports who needed a change of scenery more than Carson Wentz. I think after 2017. When the Eagles
Daniel, I'm gonna dispute you there really quickly. I think LeBron James needed a change of scenery to the Pistons immediately. I think that'll just really solidify.
We'll see.
Solidify himself as the GOAT.
I'm glad you interrupted. I'm glad you interrupted me to say that.
Of course.
After 2017, when his backup won the Super Bowl and was treated as a hero, and then he had to come back into the starting role, I think it was just a weird situation. And I think if we look back at that, I think that was the beginning of the downfall for Carson Wentz, and everything after that. They still made the postseason the next year, and I think and the year after that. But this year was a disaster. Led the league in interceptions. I think led the league in sacks too. Got benched, and the Doug Peterson relationship. I know he got fired. Was fractured, so he needed to get out. So reunited him with Frank Reich. It just made almost too much sense for it not to happen. And for the Eagles, they got their quarterback for the future. And now they were able to turn a backup into a third and probably a first. So like Ellis and Jeremy said, win for both sides. I don't know if this pushes the Colts above the Titans into that Chiefs-Bills area, but I think definitely Carson Wentz has a very good chance to be better than what Philip Rivers was last year.
I did not say win for both sides. This is a lose for the Eagles.
I would agree, Jeremy.
Former MVP they might not even get a first rounder.
I know I really think they got it was highway robbery there.
It's one thing in that case if it's that the player grows older, but a player that's still young enough that he could still have his prime. I understand
he was statistically one of the worst quarterbacks in the league last year, and he's a backup. He's a backup.
He's not a backup. There's no.
He was a backup.
I actually agree with. Can I just say something? I agree with Fox here. So I think the Eagles are losers in how they handled the situation. And partly wasn't their fault because Wentz got injured.
I'm not saying the Eagles could get more for him than they did. I'm saying I think in 3 years we will be thinking it's crazy that Carson Wentz went for so little.
So I think you just have a lot of confidence, Carson Wentz. I do too. Now I think you can say the Eagles are losers in the fact how they handled the situation and his injuries, the Hurts and Foles thing. But in terms of trade value, I don't think the Eagles came out of losers. No one was paying more for that. That's the highest they could have gone from anyone. That's all my point. I think we can
Yeah,
move on.
I think you're right.
I agree with that.
I mean, and he's not even that young. Like
he's
he's
not crazy young either.
He's 28.
He's 28. So it's 28.
He's 28. So at a certain point, potential runs out. People are still hoping he could be 2017, but maybe that guy's just not there anymore.
That's why he didn't get the
And
trade
I think the Colts valued him more than anybody else because they have Frank Wright. And who's going to vouch for Wentz more than Frank Wright?
Yeah.
Well,
right.
as you said, he can play the best in the front.
Well, thanks for listening to the tip-off. Ellis, Jeremy, Daniel, little five slam of Jeremy, cilantro, if I may. Baseball's coming up. Basketball's in full swing. College basketball, March Madness is coming up. We got our very own college basketball insider, Ellis Gordon. He's going to give us the rundown on Rutgers. Is they a 4 seed or are they a 12 seed? We'll find out next time. But this was a tip-off. Back to you, Ori.
Thank you, Daniel. That was such a miraculous segment. Hey, we're wearing the same color tonight. Rawr.
I must be handsome night.
It must be handsome night. That's why Jeremy's wearing the shades and Ellis is not here. Let's move on to the Hall of Fame segment.
So for this Hall of Fame, we got a new entry, and it's a ruck, as they call them in the NBA, and it is Anthony Edwards for that dunk of the probably last 5 years. I want to say that pretty confidently. A thunderous dunk. Thunderous. Like I'm not, anything I'm going to say is not going to give this clip justice. So pretty much
just go look it up.
Yeah, against the Raptors, just like boom. It was beautiful to watch. Amazing display of athleticism. And for that, congratulations to Anthony Edwards, the Ant-Man. He's in our Hall of Fame. Only thing good pretty much that happened to Minnesota all season. So yeah, and now moving on to a little less sad.
Yeah, let me take it over. Because normally our boy Jacob Casson is does the Hall of Fame not segment because he's such a Borat fan and so am I. But Jacob's throwing dimes in the dome tonight, so he's currently indisposed. So welcome to the Hall of Fame not. And drum roll, please. The Hall of Fame not is Ellis Gordon. Oh, wait, he's just our analyst, but he can also join in one day. Ellis, tell us who's in the Hall of Fame not.
Thank you, Ori. So in the Hall of Fame not is Isaiah Wilson. And why, might you ask, does he deserve this dubious honor with Joey Sly and Todd Gurley? Well, it wasn't for missing a kick, but he did get kicked out of the Titans. Well, technically he's still on the team, but he tweeted he doesn't want to be there anymore, which is kind of ironic because it seems like the team itself doesn't want him to be there since he was the first round pick, 18th pick, offensive lineman, high potential. And he started the season on the COVID list due to being caught at a party. And then he caught at a party a second time after he got off the COVID list and got back on the COVID list. And to escape this party, he jumped off a second floor balcony to escape the cops. And he got put back on the COVID list. And then he got a DUI after coming off the COVID list, and for doing burnouts at an intersection. And then he posted on Instagram calling for help like a crazy man. And this is all before the season started. And then finally got his first snap in week 11, and he let up a sack. And celebrating his first NFL snap, he goes to the club and, shocker, gets put on the COVID list. And then 4 days later, gets put on the non-football reserve list for a separate incident. We don't know about that. And his rookie season's over. He wants to be off the Titans. The Titans obviously want him off. I feel like he's just trying to do
Let's just go with the situation is not pretty right now.
And
Isaiah,
no team is going to pick up Isaiah Wilson. Congratulations, Isaiah Wilson, for messing up your NFL career.
Yeah,
but no, honestly, sad. I don't want to see anyone fail like that. So if he mature, he's a talent. If
maybe after he listens to our Hall of Fame not and realizes he's in such terrible
We've been
company.
A wake up call for other athletes.
He needs a Bill Belichick slap down.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the only thing that can save him. But pretty much that's our Hall of Fame not, and that is our Hall of Fame segment concluded.
Ellis, I think you're doing it wrong. It's Hall of Fame not. All right, let's move.
And now this is where my energy gets all back. 11 p.m. because it is the conclusion of the podcast. We are wrapping up the podcast, and because of that, I'm about to go into the spiel. If you want to start a podcast, join Buzzsprout, get their premium plan for a $25 Amazon gift card, and thank Buzzsprout for being our affiliate partner. Also, if you want to support our podcast, subscribe, like, turn on notifications on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Buzzsprout, pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. And do that. It helps us a lot. It supports us a lot. We thank you for doing that. And we really love the positive feedback we're getting. Also on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review and ratings. Also, follow our social media. Our Instagram follower got up last week to like 122 now. So we're getting there. Myself, so yeah, I follow our Instagram at what.podcast, wot.podcast for Photoshops, face edits, and you'll always know when the next podcast is out. Plus, you can see our polls and other stuff as well, like Hall of Fame. We post our Hall of Fame updates there. And Hall of Fame not. Also our Twitter at what.podcast, capital WOT.PODCAST, making the name slightly different to make it harder for you. Thank you for that. And Foxy's on the Twitter. He'll also let you know when the podcast is out. And yeah, and he also gives game updates on the occasion. Hasn't in a bit, but that's okay. He will someday, and those are very entertaining.
Red Sox when the Red Sox
play, when he does. So yeah, that is, I think. Anyone else got anything to add to our notes, news and notes? We passed 2,500 views. Congrats to us for that, and 50 episodes. So thank you for your support, and we're almost at
2,600 actually.
Yeah, almost at 2,600 already. So thank you for that. We really, really, really do appreciate it. And with that, let us wrap it up. As always, have a good week. Stay safe, stay healthy. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, and goodbye.
Goodbye.